Dane Scott, the Gig Doctor, and Furby.
Hello, world.
Today, this is a biggie. I've got a brand new version of the GigTracker spreadsheet. It's a free spreadsheet that is going to help you on Fiverr. Costs you nothing. I'm going to tell you exactly how to use it coming up next.
The Gig Doctor.
Hey, stick around until the end today for a chance to get a free $50 head slapper video that'll show you how to learn the unlearnable and know the unknowable on Fiverr. It's something I've come up with that gets you an inside track on your buyers, and it helps you to succeed on the platform. All right, let's get to our freebie. Introducing the GigTracker spreadsheet. As a way to start, I want to just demonstrate to you where and how you get to the gigs page, which is where all the information is that we're going to be accessing today. So if you look at the top, you'll see these options across the top here, and one of them says gigs. If we click on gigs, it brings up a list of all of the gigs we're currently offering. Each one of these would be some kind of a specialty item that we're offering. And the data that's in here shows how many impressions, clicks, orders, cancellations, and so forth we have had for each of these gigs within the last, in this case, I have it set to 30 days, which is the way I'm going to recommend that you proceed when you are using the GigTracker spreadsheet, is on a 30-day basis. So this is how you get there, and then we want to go to the spreadsheet itself next. So let's do that, and we'll bring that up here, and as we look at it, I want you to notice a couple of things. First off, there are multiple tabs in the GigTracker spreadsheet now. There's the main one that is the Totals tab. And then there are separate tab. Each of these is for a different gig. So what I want you to do is to actually go to your gigs and type in the data for each one. So it lets me just use this first one as an example here, my Sam Elliott Western accent cowboy gig. So I could just go in here to gig 1, and I could just rename it and call it Sam Elliott. And at the same time, I probably also want to go over to the totals page and rename it here as Sam Elliott too. And so we want to make sure that that one corresponds to the change we've made here. And it could also change it here, Sam Elliott. So now it is the name of the actual table is changed, and my little reference label here is changed, and my reference label here is changed. Let's do one more because I want to make sure you get the gist of this. My next one is a video sales letter. So that's adequate for my interest here. I can just go in, and we'll go to gig number 2. Actually, maybe I'll make the change here first. So we'll say VSL, video sales letter, okay? And then we'll go to gig 2, and I may as well name it here. It's just for reference, but VSL gig. Okay, and then let's also change the tab. So we'll say VSL also up here. All right, so that's been taken care of. Now let's plug in some numbers. Let's go back to Sam Elliott, and we'll just bring this up big enough so I can see it, and I'll just notice the numbers here. 4,300, 4.3K, that's how many impressions, how many people have seen my gig in the past month. The clicks, 147, and the orders, 7. And I'll need to move this up a little bit so I have room to see both. There we go. And I will now put in those numbers. So I actually already have them in here for this one, but I'll just go ahead and do it. So 4,300, 4.3K for the impressions, 147 for the number of clicks, and 7 for the orders. All right, that's all the more time it takes for me to plug each of these in every month. Let's go to the next one. We'll move this up so I can see it here. And that's the VSL one. And I'm going to then also go here to the VSL gig. And we'll put the numbers in for that. And as it already shows, I've done this already, but we'll put in 15,000. And 150 clicks and 6 orders. And that one's done. And so on. And so we'll go just down through the list of all of the gigs. We'll just type in the numbers. Once you've created the gigs once, once you've set them up in the spreadsheet one time, then all you have to do from then on is just go to your gigs page and just punch in the numbers for each gig. It takes, 5 seconds each? So it doesn't take long before you've got all your new data in there. But now let me tell you what this gives you, because this is where it gets kind of exciting. We'll go back to the Sam Elliott gig, and we got 4,300 impressions there. This tells us that that's how many people have found me. Basically, I've shown up in that many different gig searches, okay? And that's good. I would like to see it higher, and I'll be working on making it higher. But then the clicks here, that indicates how many people who found my gig actually bothered to click on it to find out more information. And there were 147 people who did that. Then out of those 147 people, 7 people placed an order. Now, that's useful information as far as it goes, but it's a little bit kind of vague. Okay, what do those numbers really mean? So that's why we added these columns here, clicks to impressions and orders to clicks. The clicks to impressions indicates the percentage of people who saw the ad who bothered to click on it, 3%. And of those who clicked on it, this is the percentage of people that placed an order. That's 5%. The numbers between 3 and 5% are actually right about where we would like to be. If it's higher, obviously, it's even better. But it's already pretty good if we're in this range. And so that's encouraging. But now let's say that maybe we were only seeing 1% here for orders to clicks, or we were seeing, maybe 1 or 2% for clicks to impressions. Well, we'd like to try and do something to improve that situation. Or maybe we were only seeing a very small number of impressions, maybe 600 impressions for the month. That would be a problem we would want to try and address. We want to get those numbers up higher, because the more people that see your ad, your listing, so to speak, your gig image, the more chances you'll have to sell. So we want to try and get that number up, but then once people see us, we want to make sure they click on us. And then once they click on us, we want to make sure they order from us. And so there are things we can do in every stage of our gigs to make that happen. And that's part of what we go over in a Gig Doctor session. We talk about the ways to improve the performance in all of these metrics here, and so that you end up with more money, basically, is what it amounts to. You're getting more orders. Okay, but let's say that the number wasn't what we wanted here. Let's say it was really low. Let's say it was 600 impressions for the month. Of those, we got maybe 23 clicks, and we got 1 order. Okay, so where does that show? So, well, actually, I've got those numbers a little high here, probably. So it's showing 4% clicks to impressions, and it's showing 4% for orders to clicks. So that part's not too bad, but wouldn't it be nice if you actually had more orders going on than this? So what we want to do is to try and get this number higher, let's say, because that way these other numbers can potentially get higher too. If we have 4% performance once people see us, that's pretty good. So the main thing we got to focus on then is getting seen by more people here with the impressions. So maybe we say, okay, well then what do we need to do to get more impressions? Do we need to adjust our pricing? Maybe we're charging too much. Maybe we're not charging enough. And Fiverr is going, well, I'd rather promote somebody that's going to make us more money. Or maybe we're charging so much that nobody has shown an interest for a while, and Fiverr said, well, this person doesn't seem to be performing too well, so we're not going to promote them as much. So those are the kinds of things you have to look at. That, plus, of course, your gig image. Is it saying, with the imagery, is it saying what you want? And also, we got to look at, your especially like your title and your tags, are they saying the things that need to be said in order to get you found? So these are all factors in there, especially really when it comes to the gig image. That's more about clicks, but for impressions, making sure that the correct keywords are there, and also that your pricing is good, and that your performance, in the way you handle customers is excellent also, because Fiverr puts a lot of emphasis on that part of it. But at any rate, we change the things we can in order to make things better. So maybe we've decided that we need to make some changes to the wording of our gig, to the description, to the title, to the tags. We want to, swap some things out. So maybe we say that we have updated title to include the word whatever it is. Okay. And so after we had put these in, we decided, okay, that's what the change we're going to make. Okay, now let's say that, now, by the way, today is 1/31/22. So maybe now it is a month later, and so it'd be, well, in this case, it would be February 28th, right? So let's say 2/28/22, and lo and behold, those impressions are up. We got 1,200 impressions. Clicks are up, correspondingly, and we got 2 orders. All right, so the percentages here are still good, but we wouldn't mind if the numbers still came higher here on the impressions. So maybe we make another change now here, and we say, maybe we make a change to our tags, or we add X words in the description, whatever it is, the change. You notice I do have a couple extra columns there where you could record other changes that you've made to the gig. You can do that, though don't go crazy on it, because if you make too many changes all at once, then you have no real way of knowing if things do change for the better or even for the worse, which of the changes you made in the past month were the ones that may have impacted on that. So you want to take it slow and easy, just minor adjustments, incremental adjustments to your gigs. Don't go crazy. I gave you a couple extra columns there, but don't try to do too much each month. And then as the months go by, you're going to see where things stand. Now you can see that the numbers at the bottom are changing accordingly. So altogether, 1,800 impressions, 66 clicks, 3 orders, and a 3.7% for the clicks to impressions and a 4.5% for the average conversion rate. So yeah, these numbers are looking good, but we'd like to try and crank these numbers up. These are just, wild shot in the dark numbers. You could put in anything you wanted, but ultimately what you'll be putting in are the ones from your actual gig. Those will tell you the real story. But let's just consider that you would go through and you would, for each of these here, you would put in another one of your gigs. As many as you have. If you have more than the 12 that are supplied here, we got all the way to 12. But if you have more, you can add more. Just by making a copy of one of the existing ones that are here. On the Mac, I would just do right-click and duplicate and then give it a new name. Okay, so again, you go through your gig based on what you have there in your gig listing online. You'll go through and you'll put in initially each of your gigs. You'll enter the information about them at the top and down below here, and you'll also put the correct name for them here. And then you will start plugging in the numbers. I suggest you go to Siri once a month and say, hey, remind me to update my spreadsheet on maybe the 25th of each month or the 1st of each month or something consistent so that you're always making sure to do it. What will happen is that if you go back to this totals page here, now notice I've marked it as GigTracker 2022. What it's doing is grabbing the totals from the bottom of each of these down here, and it's bringing them all together in an aggregation on this one page so that we can see all together how many hits I've had for Sam Elliott, how many sales I've made, what the percentages are. And then in addition to that, by the way, these are for the whole year, okay? But then in addition to that, at the bottom, you get the total impressions of all your gigs down here, the total clicks, the total orders, and the total percentages to see how things are shaking down, as far as like clicks to impressions and average conversion rate for the whole year. So handy. And, this is information that most people will never know because they're not tracking it. I mean, there's some information on the Fiverr gig page, but it's not anywhere near as refined as this. This really gives you the granularity that you need in order to make decisions, to make conscious, strong decisions about where you need to go. And you can also, let's say that you're getting down toward the end of the year, you can just save a whole copy of this entire thing and, rename the file and call it GigTracker 2023 and 2024 and so on. And all you'll need to do then is to just go once into your gigs and delete the information in these columns. Just select all of the columns here, impressions, clicks, and orders on each gig, and hit delete. Don't make changes here. These are calculating columns. They actually, they have formulas in them, so you don't want to delete that stuff. But just delete the impressions, clicks, and orders for each one, and that will be adequate. And it will just basically clear the whole thing out. At that point, all the numbers here will go away too, and you'll have a nice clear blank spreadsheet to start the new year. So again, when you first get the GigTracker spreadsheet, it's a free download. I'm going to provide you a link with that. And you will just immediately go in and you'll key in all of your gigs here and make sure that the gig that you type in here corresponds, for example, to gig 1, and that you just go into gig 1 and then also change it here as well and change the tab. So everything is all coordinated for that gig. Then you'll look at the second one. You'll say, okay, this is going to be gig 2, and I'm going to make that my XYZ, whatever it is, gig. So then you'll go to gig 2, and you'll update it here, you'll update the tab, and you'll also update the little title inside the gig there so it all matches up and you have no doubts in your mind about which gigs go with which. And then on a monthly basis, very, very fast. I mean, we're talking probably just maybe 2 minutes to key in all the information from your gig just off of the gig page that you find on Fiverr. You can find that once again at gigs right at the very top, at the Fiverr account. Again, the GigTracker spreadsheet is completely free. There's no strings. It's just something that I've put together, created for the Fiverr community, which means potentially it could get into thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of hands, and it's all good. So spread it around. Let everybody benefit from it. It will help. It will absolutely help if you use it on a consistent basis. If you have any questions, be sure to drop a message to me, Facebook Messenger. You can do it there. We're at thegigdoctor.com. In addition to that, comments down below, too. If you have any questions or if you just want to comment on whether you think this is going to be useful to you, maybe you can even tell me in the comments how things are going for you on Fiverr. Would love to hear from you, so be sure to comment. Again, to get to this spreadsheet, all you have to do is just scroll down slightly. If it's on YouTube, you will see the link, and if it is in the podcast, yes, you'll also see the link. So either way, you'll be able to get to it. It's just a Dropbox link. You can download it and just use this video that you've just seen as a guide to setting it up, and let me know how it goes for you. There are plenty of other ways to make good on Fiverr, and if you feel that you could be doing better, let's get together for a Gig Doctor session. We'll go through every aspect of your gig, and we'll optimize everything to help you be found more often, clicked on, ordered from. There's a method to all this, and I can help you get in great shape. It's a one-on-one meeting over Zoom or Skype, and we'll cover a ton of stuff. I had one person say the other day, it's like drinking from a fire hose. So I always suggest that you record the session when we get together to make sure you get every single drop from it. Now, if you order it today using the special link that I'm going to put down here along with this video and podcast, you're going to get a free $50 Head Slapper video. Head Slapper 5 is what I call it. And it's about knowing the unknowable on Fiverr. It's another one of those things that make you go, oh, once I explain it to you, because that's what I did when it dawned on me. You're going to wonder why you haven't been doing it all along. I'll see you on the next one. I'm Dane Scott.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, I think.
Hello, cutie pie.
Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.
Goodbye.